Without fail, every year as we get closer to Christmas, Icelanders, especially those living on farms, start to see an increase of milk here or there starting to go missing. And this is what some might call an unfortunate thing, but it's tradition because it has to do with 13 mischievous trolls, or at least part trolls, that come down from the mountain one by one every year during Christmas to wreak havoc on homes and farms. And today, it's Icelandic cow milk that is being targeted. And if you're new here, my name is Jules. I've been living in Iceland since 2016. I'm originally from the United States, born and raised in Brooklyn. And I'm sharing about each of the Icelandic Yule Lads. So as I mentioned, every day, one by one comes until December 24th when the last one arrives. And if you missed the one from yesterday, then go and check out the video. Description is below. But I'm going to read a poem in Icelandic and in English about the particular Icelandic Yule Lad that comes today, because there is no Santa. That is not a thing here in terms of this big jolly guy who shows up with gifts. Rather, it's these Yule Lads who back in the day were not about the gifts. They were just about being mischievous and doing all sorts of things that were annoying and sometimes menacing. Now they do bring gifts, and if you put a little shoe in your window, you might get a gift if you're a good person, child usually, but if you're bad, you'll get a potato. So, all right, let's just jump into the Icelandic Yule Lad that came today and this poem. Giljagaur var annar, með gráa hausinn sinn. Hann skreið ofan gilli og skoist í fjósið inn. Hann faldi sig í básunum og fróðunni stál, meðan fjósakonan átti við fjósamanninn tal. The second was Gully Gawk, gray his head and mane. He snuck into the cow barn from his craggy ravine. Hiding in the stalls, he would steal the milk, while the milkmaid gave the cowherd a meaningful smile. So, Gully Gawk, I don't think I said Gully Gawk, but for Gully Gawk, this Giljagaur in Icelandic, he doesn't just, he's not stealing the milk directly from the cow. So yesterday, sheepcock clod was going direct to the teat of an ewe for the sheep. But here, it was more like the froth that is on top of the milk that's already been, sourced from the cow, which in a way is kind of unsanitary because he's just putting his little dirty lips from up in the mountains on the froth, and it might get some bacteria in the milk. Who knows? But I don't consider him to be the worst of them. I have one who just really grinds my gears for some reason, and he's coming up in some days. And I think most people would agree that when you get to him, you understand why he's not my fave. I also am excited when I get to the end of this to tell you who the favorite of all the Icelandic Yule Lads are. At least some years ago, there was a poll that was taken to find out who Icelanders prefer. And there was one that, won pretty much by a landslide. But I'd love to hear what you think about these Icelandic Yule Lads in the comments. Obviously, in my opinion, they seem like they're just desperate for food. And not just, because if just stealing the froth off the top, it sounds like he just wants something, right? He's also trying not to be as inconveniencing, but definitely goes for a specific taste that he wants to get. So I hope you're enjoying these stories and poems. And if you are, definitely give me a thumbs up and share this with somebody who you think would also enjoy following along as we work our way to Christmas. And even if you're not into Christmas, that's okay. It's just fascinating Icelandic culture that you get to hear a bit about, and a tradition that every year Icelandic kids, once they're able to understand what's happening, are so excited about, the little gifts that they might get. And people might be wondering, 13 gifts is quite a lot, but they're usually toothbrushes or a little toy. I mean, obviously the family is quite well off. Maybe they're much bigger gifts. The idea is that you're not giving the huge gifts until December 24th, when Icelanders are actually celebrating Christmas, and we'll get into all of that as well and some fun traditions along the way. Tomorrow, a new Icelandic Yule Lad makes their way down the mountain. So I'll be back to let you know what this one is up to and what you might need to hide if you decide to ever live in Iceland, or if you are living in Iceland and are not aware that these Icelandic Yule Lads are storming in to do some mischievous deeds. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.